So what's up, Drake? How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. That's the normal answer that people normally give, you know?
I'm good.
Is that correct?
Um, for the most part, I mean, looking at it from a big perspective, I'm good compared to where I've been, you know?
Yeah.
But, with sobriety, it's just a fucking roller coaster, of emotions and shit. You can't hide behind anything. And
Yeah.
so it just feeling everything raw. And, I'm 90 days, 93 days. So it's just like you go through those like highs and lows and motivated to do stuff, not motivated to do stuff. And yeah, man. So I'm good is kind of like, I'm alive type of shit,
Yeah. That's what they say. You good thing about recovery is you get all your problems back.
Yeah.
The good thing and the bad thing. So you can no longer use those old coping skills. That's why we go to like outpatient programs, stuff like that, so we can learn how to deal with those ups and downs. And then also, I think as you get more and more days, and maybe you can attest to this too, Raymel, is those ups and downs start to level out to where they're not so far up and so far down. They start to kind of, you get a rolling start and stuff.
You definitely find a rhythm.
Yeah,
the whole thing, the emotions. You know what I mean? Because when you first get sober, you guys know how it is. We used to get all of our endorphins from the shit that we used.
Yeah.
So now, once our body starts figuring out how to produce the right amount, at first it's just shooting it in there, trying to make up for it. And then we get all high, then we drop all low. But after a while, body figures it out a little bit. Yeah.
I feel like I kind of put myself in situations to make excuses to drink. I've always done that. Even when I met you, Raymel, I relapsed after 230 days. I remember that, and you hit your 230, and it was just it's crazy, how you have to take a big look at how alcohol and drugs and all that stuff wasn't the core root of the problem. It was more deeper than that, like a part of yourself and who you are and the things that you've been through and trauma, and all this shit pops up in front of you, and it's almost like some fucking headlights coming at you, and you're just a deer, and you're just like, fuck, dude. I didn't realize I had all this shit wrong with me because it was just numbing it the whole time. But yeah, I mean, I've had great times in sobriety, and then I've had bad times, but a lot of the bad times is the situations I put myself in, thinking I'm ready for certain things and certain, normal people shit,
Normal.
because we're definitely not fucking normal.
Right.
And that's something I struggle with too, I mean, I've always known I've been different, but like when you're an alcoholic and you realize you're an alcoholic and an addict, it's a different type of different.
Yeah.
It's not like a social kind of like you can deal with relationships fucking good. You could deal with stress good. It's like, you have to relearn how to live as an adult,
Yeah, I know for me, that was like a big, like a light bulb moment for me when I realized that, my whole adult life from teens on, and pretty much I've been married to my wife 19 years. For 19 of those years, I've been a drunk, at different levels. I wasn't to where I was at the end, of course, but it's a whole different way of living. So learning how to, it's good and it's bad. It's good and it's bad in that, you get a lot of things that you can't just, like you said, hide behind, alcohol or some drugs or something. But the good thing is you get to, it's cliche to say, but you get to reinvent yourself. You get to figure out what you do like, what you don't like. You could be for me, I've learned I'm not a totally 100% different person. I just, now I've learned to deal with things. I've become a better person all the way around, and I like who I am actually. There's less and less that I want to run from.
Yeah,
You know,
that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, well, they say like when we start drinking and smoking and using, like when it becomes a problem, which for most of us is at a young age, you know what I mean? That's when we stop learning how to cope with things the way that other people learn how to cope with things. So, like me, so I'm drinking for almost 20 years every day, most of the day. So that's 20 years that I didn't learn how to deal with issues like other people deal with issues, you know.
Stunt your growth emotionally.
Definitely. And then when I got sober, like, okay, the alcohol's gone, the drugs are gone, but everything else is still there. Like, let's not, we don't sugarcoat that part. You don't stop drinking and smoking and using, and then everything just goes away.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? That. The reason that you were doing all that shit is still there. But now you can kind of deal with it. You know what I mean? Maybe you can get to the root to it and you can cure those things instead of just medicating those things.
It's like giving a child like a house and a truck and a fucking all these bills and just being like, figure it out,
Right.
And I started in high school getting fucked up because I had my childhood was just very traumatic. So when I found Xanax and alcohol, like benzos and alcohol, like I was like, man, this is the shit. This is amazing, Like I can't believe there's something that I can take that makes me not give a fuck about anything anymore, And I had anxiety, but I was in high school. I didn't have like a doctor's opinion about it or anything like that. Everything was kind of just pushed aside. And so I was just, snorting pills, doing a bunch of shit that I didn't realize that would affect me in the long run. I even remember like when I got out of high school and I got drug tested and shit when my mom like figured out everything that was going on. And the damage that was done to me, I didn't even know that I was doing any damage to myself. I just thought like, it just makes you feel a certain way. And I know it's not good, but I mean, if I stop, I'll stop, And then as I later on, gradually realized I fucked myself up in a lot of different ways, with the chemicals in my body and just all that shit and the things I relied on and just numbing every single thing I could, And surprisingly, I mean, there was like 2-3 years in my 20s that I was sober. I was a youth pastor for like a college group in like a junior high group and everything. And I was actually sober. I got to baptize some kids, did some really cool shit. And relationships have always been my fault, like you were talking about earlier, like heartache and toothaches are the worst pain. Like a heartache will get me to fucking go do anything, dude. Like break up. Like after my divorce and I got my own place, I was like, I'm just, dude, fuck up, man. Just every day, whatever. I'm doing my own thing. It's freedom. And in reality, I was just putting myself in a prison, not even realizing it. And then you just kind of wake up one day and you're in recovery and you're like, what the fuck have I been doing? What the fuck have I been doing?
And it's usually been a long time.
Yeah.
It's usually been a long time before we come to and realize, like, can't continue on like this,
No.
No.
How many days do you have, Emil?
Man, that is a good question, Sam. I want to say, I should have checked before. I want to say through Thursday, 317 days, 318, somewhere right around there. And it's getting tricky. About a month and a half away from my year. And shit's a little weird. It's a little different. You know what I mean? I was coasting for about 5-6 months there with no issues whatsoever. But these last couple of weeks have definitely had like some thoughts that I hadn't been having. You know what I mean? Maybe even making some reservations. I was at group on Thursday and I was telling the group like, hey, like, watch out for me. You know what I mean? Because things aren't quite right. But I know my program. I know the signs. Mindfulness is huge for my recovery. Like I have to be mindful of things because throughout my addiction and throughout me getting all tore up, you know what I mean? I push mindfulness to the side on purpose, which I think is what we all do. That's why we're numbing. So we don't have to be mindful of the shit that's going on around us. So that's why I focus on mindfulness so much. You remember when I first got there, I was all about honesty. Still am. That's huge for me because
that was like a light bulb moment for you.
No, most definitely because I was the least honest guy. You know what I mean? Like for no reason. Like, I'll tell you
Yeah.
that the sky was green just to do it. You know what I mean?
Guys not even knowing why you're lying.
Exactly.
Fucking doing it.
But now it's the mindfulness. Now that I've got the truth thing, my higher powers help me with that. You know what I mean? Now I see it. It's like, what's the point of telling somebody something that's not the truth? If anything, it's counterproductive to me getting what I need or what I want. You know what I mean? So
it's almost like a different type of high, you know? I mean, people get high off of lying and getting away with it.
Right.
I can't say I was a liar or wasn't a liar. Lying wasn't something I did. I was more of the type of person that just wore everything on my sleeves and didn't give a fuck what anybody knew about me, you know? And I would just say it straight up how it is.
That's a high too, though.
It is, because it would just be like, you know, fuck you, I don't care.
Yeah.
That would make it to where, like, in my own mind, I wouldn't give a shit because I didn't give a fuck what other people thought.
Right.
So then my recovery was even harder for me to recover that way, because just not giving a fuck about anything for so long just kind of made me feel like, what's the point? You know, if I'm fucking my life up, you know, then don't be around me. You know, don't look at it, turn the other way type of shit.
If you don't like it, yeah.
Yeah, like if you don't like it, leave it, you know.
What was life like for you growing up? What was Drakey like? Little Drake.
Little Drakey?
Little Drakey.
Fuck, dude. You know, it was just a lot of trauma for sure, you know. My dad went through a lot of shit when he was a kid, and a lot of his stuff kind of passed on. So it was just a lot of yelling, screaming, negative, just very toxic. Like I hated my father for a long time. Hated him. Absolutely hated him. I remember, you know, crying myself to sleep as a young kid every single night, wishing like either he would die or fucking he'd just disappear, or just wondering why I had the life that I had, you know. And obviously I'm over that now. He even came to my graduation, and it was a beautiful thing. I gave him, you know, the little certificate, and I've given him my chips, but it's been a long journey. But younger, I just I kind of push things aside a lot, because you don't really know how to cope with things when you're young. And when you're going through like traumatic stuff, you're just kind of in it. You know,
you don't know it's traumatic.
You don't. You're just kind of like, oh shit, like this is like whatever. And then when you get older, like as I got older, it turned into like a fuel of like negative shit, like just to become something of whatever the fuck I want to be. No one's gonna dictate my happiness anymore. I'm gonna choose what I do. And it was when I had my son, is when I like he turned about like, I don't know, he was like 1.5 or something like that. And I remember looking at him, and I saw myself in him, and it brought up so much from my childhood that I didn't even expect, that I thought was just like gone, you know, that was just pushed down. And I remember like looking at him in the eyes and then thinking to myself, like, how could anybody ever put a child through that, you know?
Yeah, it's heartbreaking when you said, you know, those feelings that you had, especially, you know, as a father, you're a father too, you know. I think about my sons and think about if they felt like that.
Yeah.
You know, and it's heartbreaking, man.
It wrecked me, dude. And that's when like my alcoholism really spiraled. I was just like, I got into it with my dad, all this stuff. And that's when I started drinking heavy, you know, and just kind of, I don't know, man, just spiraled out of control. I was living with my ex-fiance, you know, we had our son and everything. We're in the same place, but I was just fucked up every single day. Just feeling like a failure, feeling like I was like turning almost into the person that I never wanted to be, which was a bad father, you know?
Yeah,
so I would
definitely.
promise myself I'd never be like that. And then, of course, I turned into something similar, but not like that. Like I was never like abusive or angry or like towards him, but I wasn't there mentally. I was just getting fucked up to try to cope with my emotions and what I was feeling. And it just ended up in a bang. And then I end up in recovery, and then I'm just like, fuck, man, there's a lot of shit I got to figure out, you know?
Yeah, that's a big one for me and Sam. I'm pretty sure you agree. The presentness, you know what I mean? We're both the type of fathers, you'd agree. We were there. We're at home every day. We go to work, we come home, we're here, but not really present for the family, you know? Like if you need something from me, you can ask me and we can do that, you know what I mean? But outside of that, kind of doing my own thing, you know, getting drunk, watching TV, going in and out of the bathroom where the kids think you got the sniffles for a year or two, you know what I mean? But like, so I know what you're saying as far as you were there, but you weren't really there.
No, not at all. Not even. Yeah, like you said, if you need anything, whatever. Like if, because my son was really attached to his mom. So it was like if she needed like shower or do something, because like, it's hard for a woman, like especially when like they're breastfeeding and all that shit. So when she needed to shower, like I would just be like, I'll hold him, or I'll do this or do whatever I can. But there wasn't very much that I could do, and it was just constant failure. And like me, if I ever feel like I'm failing at anything, I just get this like huge wave of guilt. And I just want to wash it away. I feel like I should just run from everybody that I'm fucking hurting, failing, everything. Like, it's just, I don't know, man. Like, it's just a fucked up mindset to have. But I'm learning my value and what I have to offer. That's definitely something I'm trying to see in myself is more value, because I've never seen value in myself until like the past year of like growing as a person and being sober and like with my business and my abilities and talents that I have. I see value in myself, but for so long I never saw any value. It was just like, if I fucking die, I die. If I overdose, I overdose. What's it gonna matter? I'm just gonna be another one of those fucking people that just, are fucking gone like that.
Yeah. Yeah, the failure part, like for me, it's home, because right now I've been, in the grand scheme of things, I'm doing really well. But there's a lot of things that I've been trying to do with the podcast, with editing, things that I like to do. And I feel like I've failed at it and failed at it and failed at it. And in some ways that I want to be better at it, it's hard to put in perspective, but when you're constantly hit with failure and failure and failure and failure over and over again, I felt like that before I got sober. I was constantly just hitting a brick, hitting a brick wall, just never being able to surpass it.
Mm-hmm.
And then now I feel like I really have. Now I look at those failures, the perspective of my failures are now a little bit different. Perspective for me on the failures when I have them as I go, oh, okay, good. Like I'm that much closer.
Yeah.
There's one more less time I have to fail.
Yeah.
Now, so it's crazy how a lot of it is understanding how you're feeling and putting it into perspective. Yeah. And when you put it in perspective and use your energy to try to accomplish something, even if it's small, it's you start to get a little bit of a momentum going. At least for me, anyways. I feel like every time I fail. So now when I hit a failure, or I don't get something that doesn't go my way, I think, okay, I have the perspective now that, and it could change. Mm-hmm. I mean, I could hit something tomorrow and be like, damn, right. I'm done for it. You know what I mean? But at the moment, I feel like every time I hit a failure, I'm just one step closer to getting where I'm trying to get to.
And shit, Sam, would you say like when you were still drinking like heavy, would you have even attempted to do these things that you like to do?
No.
Like you never would even if it wasn't about sobriety or anything like that, like shit. So it was a podcast about drinking.
Yeah.
You still would have never.
It would have never happened.
It would have never happened.
It wouldn't be this nice of a setup. That's for sure.
Yeah.
We definitely
had two mics.
We'd definitely be
refrigerator right here.
Pausing for bathroom breaks and
stupid ass conversation.
All kind of stuff.
Talking in circles.
Talking in circles. Maybe a couple fights.
I started my business in 2017 after like a divorce. Because I needed a hobby. And I just was like, I had a bunch of knives that I collected, and I was like, I'm just going to start making them. I'm going to try to make them, and then ever since then, I've sold every single thing that I've made. But the name Cutthroat Cowboy kind of came from just drinking fucking whiskey and doing live feeds and shit. And that's how I kind of gained a lot of followers, just kind of like had that like American cowboy,
Yeah.
persona, smoking fucking chain smoking cigarettes and drinking whiskey until like literally I passed out during a live feed one time, and one of the people watching it came and picked me up. They picked me up off the fucking ground because I was outside by my truck. He picked me up off the ground. I vomited on him and shit, and he put me in bed and everything, and like took care of me and shit. Like he's a good homie.
All on the live feed.
Yeah, well, the live feed ended.
Oh, okay.
After like it ends like at an hour, but I was pretty slumped out like for probably like 10 minutes on the live feed.
Until he got there.
Yeah. And I was like, damn, man, like I don't even know how to like repay you for shit like that. He's like, I got kids. I'm used to it. You know what I mean?
That makes you feel great, right?
Cool. Yeah, I'm a fucking kid.
Yeah, right. Thanks a lot, man.
But like, so I had to like totally turn around my perspective of what, Cutthroat Cowboy meant to me, like the business name and how I was going to get followers and how I was going to get business, and what it was just putting my heart and soul into my work. So my recovery kind of went into that. And so I use my platform more of now to kind of share like,
right.
I fucked up.
Yeah.
Right.
Look at my work now compared to what it was, and I'll have old customers that are like, damn, bro, your shit's real good now.
Yeah.
What's up with the discount on my next one? Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's just everything involved alcohol, everything involved drugs, everything involved something. My mom was always like, you can have fun without it, and I was like, not as much fun.
Yeah,
right.
There's no such thing as having this much fun without alcohol and drugs, and it had to be there.
It's hard to see past that, huh?
Yeah, it really is, man.
Yeah,
it really is.
When you're in it, it's hard to see. I never thought I would ever be able to have fun.
It's not just a mental thing, though. I mean, it's the chemical part of it too. Like it's I can't have fun if I'm not doing this, because I'm gonna feel sick as shit if I'm not doing this. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like
being around people and feeling like you're just a fucking bummer because you're not as like high up as they are. Then you just feel uncomfortable the whole time at like the party or whatever it is. So you just avoid people. That's what I do when I'm like in a slump. I'm just like, I don't want to be around people because I don't want to fuck their day up. And I got like 15 people asking me, "Are you good? Are you good? Are you good?" And I'm like, I guess not.
Yeah, obviously, if all of you can see it.
Yeah, the failure part though, if you keep hitting it, man, it's good that you incorporate it, because that's the other thing that I like to say, because I'm teaching my kids how to fail, how to get back up. I've always been taught that you get back up no matter what, but you win at it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, you don't allow yourself to have failures. And if you do, you put it to the side, work's got to be done, get to it. And instead of, now, like with my kids, because, to show them that how to fail, you never taught that. You taught how to win.
Mm-hmm.
Sports taught me how to fail a little bit, but for the most part in my personal life, it's a good thing and a bad thing, but I was always actually pretty good at sports until everybody got taller than me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that was very early. You know what I mean? But, so I didn't fail a lot. I was always the first on the roster type person. But, so in my adulthood, my dad didn't fail at anything. My family didn't fail at anything, really. Yeah. I'm sure they did, if you talk to them, but I didn't see it. And so what you're showing now to your followers is how to do it, and that it can be done.
Yeah. Definitely.
Well, I mean, it's cheesy as hell, but it's not a failure unless you stop.
Yeah.
Unless you give up and quit on it. That's the only way it can be a failure. Like if you're doing something and you hit a barrier, you hit a roadblock, and you keep doing it, and then you figure it out. Well, there was never really a failure there. There was just some roadblocks there, some hurdles you had to jump over. Yeah. So that's pretty much what I try to tell like my kids. Yeah. You know what I mean? Well, my daughter, because she's old enough, you know what I mean? You haven't failed at anything unless you say, boom, I'm done. I'm wiping my hands at it. Well, now you failed. You know what I mean? But as long as you keep trying and get a little better, you didn't fail. Even if you didn't hit that goal that you were trying to hit, you didn't fail. You know what I mean? You go to school, you get a C, you didn't fail the damn class.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I always try to let them know that, like, if you don't quit, you didn't fail. And I was big on hiding my shortcomings. I won't call them failures. But that was a thing for me. That was a lot of where my lying came through. If I tried to do something and I didn't do it as well as I wanted to, or as well as everybody, I got a family
as you wanted to put out.
Exactly. I have a family, like you were saying, like everybody looked like they never failed. I have a family chock full of master's degrees, attorneys, people that worked at Quantico. Degree actually says rocket science on it. Like, I thought that was from a cartoon. I didn't think you could really get that. You know what I mean? So yeah, I come from, there's a lot of success in my family, you know? So I was always like, if I came up short on something, I would hide it. You know what I mean? I'd either stop talking about it or I'd hurry up and move on to something else to shift focus and things like that. But that's not cool. If I would have just continued to work at that thing, I probably would have smashed it. You know, I was smart when I wasn't faded. You know what I mean?
Look how quick you succeeded in your current position and where you're at. You know what I mean?
And I used to sabotage myself when positions like that would come up, and I'd be like, okay, so that's a lot more money. That's a lot more responsibility. I'm cool with that. Oh, wait a minute. I'm going to have to be there 3 to 4 more hours a day. That means, so those 4 hours, I'm not going to be able to get started drinking until what time? I don't know about that. You know what I mean? And just self-sabotage it. Even if I wasn't doing it consciously at the time, that's what I was doing.
Self-sabotage is something that us alcoholics and addicts are really good at. Not even knowing that we're fucking doing it.
Right.
But yeah, like you're saying, like the whole everything's good on the outside type shit. That's what that was like my family, like in the fucking nutshell. You know what I mean? It was just like, you know, my dad was a, you know, great contractor, worked for like a really big company and did everything great and always had the nicest house, all this other shit. But inside that house was like sickness, you know what I mean? But on the outside, you know, it looked perfect.
Right.
So you never really know what the fuck is going on. And so my perception of what like looks don't mean shit to me. You know, like what you have materialistically doesn't mean anything to me. Like it never has. So I've always had an issue with like money and going after it, like, you know, getting money and all that shit, like I've talked about in group before. But going back to the failure thing, I remember when I was going through my darkest time last year in August when I lost everything, you know, like my place, the woman I had, you know, to be able to see my son for like 2 weeks. I had like a restraining order and all this shit. And that was like my lowest point, one of my lowest points. I'm pretty sure it was my lowest point. But something that got me through that was thinking in my mind that if I do make it through this, because I didn't think I was going to make it through it. I was like, I'm fucking done. Yeah. I give up. I fucked up. This is it. I'd rather die. Like this hurts more than death, you know? But I knew that if I were to make it through it, then I could be an example to somebody else who would need that, you know? And through my page, just recently, there was a young dude that hit me up who was going through some hardcore shit, a hardcore like breakup, heartache, all this stuff. And he randomly hit me up out of nowhere. And I've been able, and it was almost like identical stories. He just happened to him and like he's younger than I am. But it just hit home with me and I was able to be there for him, a random dude. And he was like, thank you so much. I was like, I'm just doing something that somebody did for me when I needed it. So you can do it for somebody else when they need it. You know,
that's right.
It's just a process, like paying it forward type of shit. But I just remember holding on to that thought of like, if I can make it through this, then I'll be a huge example to people who think just because like I failed at being a father or a husband, or if I had this like this dream life that I destroyed it with my addictions and I'm not worth a shit, that they can realize that that's not true. That's just a lie, that we make mistakes, like learning how to fail, like Sam was saying, like learning how to fail and come back stronger.
Yeah, and that's I think that's even bigger. It's even needed more so now with with the things that we see, within social media content and other things, everybody's putting their best foot forward.
Yeah,
everywhere.
Perfect.
Yeah, everything. You know what I mean?
Life's amazing.
Yeah, life's great. No issues.
At the beach, chilling,
Out of here.
Yeah, it's
that shit.
Yeah, so I mean, it's.
I was raised that way though, Sam. I don't know about you. You're kind of old like me. It was one of those things our parents always told you: don't put your business in the street.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't put any of your personal family things that are going on.
Yeah.
You don't let anybody know that stuff. You know
I did
what I
that
mean?
shit heavy with my business. I almost fucked it up. Like just when I was going through that drunk stage and I was just putting all kinds of everybody's dirty laundry and shit on my page, man. I fucked up,
Yeah.
Because that was my thing, I would, if all fingers were pointed at me, it was just like, well, you fucked up here, you fucked up there, you fucked up here, trying to make myself feel better.
Mm-hmm.
And all it did was just make things way worse. You know, I had my own shit to deal with, and no one else needed to be put in the crossfire of that shit. But now I can do it in a healthy way.
Yeah.
I can be like, I've made mistakes, I'm sober now, I'm doing my best, I'm alive, I'm trying, I can put certain parts about my life that can help other people see, like, okay, if this fucking guy can do it, then I can. I want to be an example. Like, if I can do it, you definitely can, because I never believed myself.
Shit, I'm curious, man. How old were you when you had your first? Was it drinking first?
It was,
or was it like
it was Xanax,
benzos first?
Benzos
first,
and fucking Norcos, Vicodin. Any kind of pill I could get my hands on. Well, at first I was smoking weed, and I used to sell weed.
We talking junior high, high school?
High school, freshman year, I was selling weed, and I was smoking weed every day. And my buddy that I used to sell weed with, he looks just like Mike Tyson, dude. I swear to God. On it,
does he talk like him?
No, he didn't talk like him, but he looked like him. He was just built, big old motherfucker, dude. And we hung out every single day, and we smoked weed, we sold weed, and it was, I can't say it was like a bad part of my life, because all we were doing was smoking pot. I know that that's an issue for some people, but I don't know, man. It's like pills were brought around, and I remember he was like, no, I'm not fucking with that shit, and I was like, I'll fuck with it. And then first time I took a Xanax and like felt that feeling of just like not giving a fuck, I was like, man, this is a whole different level.
You took the whole bar?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I started out with the footballs, the little peach footballs.
Yeah.
And I remember I took like 8 of them the first time, and I was like, just
right.
My buddy's dad came underneath the garage door and was like looking at me and looking at everybody, and he was like this fucking big old tough Mexican dude, and he's like, what the fuck is wrong with you guys? You know what I mean? What the fuck is wrong with this kid?
Right.
And I'm just like sitting there like drooling on myself, But alcohol came into the picture a little later, because my buddy was like, have you ever drank before? I'm like, nah, dude, I just smoke weed, but like, I mean, I'm not like against drinking,
Yeah, still high school.
First time I fucking drank, dude, it was just, he had like a water bottle with Jack Daniels in it, and then a water bottle with Jose Cuervo. And I remember just drinking it, and I'm like, this is the shit. I'm like, oh man, this is, and that's when I was fucking doomed right there, bro. That's when I was just like,
you liked it right off the rip.
Oh yeah, because every part of me, when I was not on something, even as young, I felt uncomfortable with myself.
Mm-hmm.
I felt uncomfortable with my own skin. I had low self-esteem. I felt just lower than the next guy always, So if anything could put me on that level of like where I didn't feel like that, dude, give it to me,
That's right.
Well, I'll take it.
When did you realize that you had a problem, or you may have had a problem?
Probably 2 years ago, 3 years ago. It was when I had my son, is when I knew I had a problem, because it got to the point where like I was doing it and I hated it, and that's when I knew I had a problem, because like all the fun's gone. It's not doing anything. I'm just drinking literally just to cope with like the hangover, the withdrawals, the guilt, all that stuff, the constant waking up and praying to God. Like, I don't know how many times I'm going to say sorry to you, God, but I just, I don't know how to stop. I don't know what to do. I'd go a couple days without drinking, and then just be like any excuse to drink, if I had a bad day, or if something came up in my life that was somewhat stressful, it's just like, all right, I'm going to drink again. And then it would just spiral into like weeks of drinking, not eating, just absolute just fucking shit show, you know? And so that's when I realized it was a problem. You know, when you're young, you don't have that many responsibilities. You got your own house with like some roommates and shit. You're not going to really see you got a fucking problem because you're just partying. You don't have anybody to, that's looking up to you or anything. But my son definitely.
Yeah, I think we all have a realization we have a problem when it's something that when we're not doing it, it's all we can think about. Like,
Yeah.
Where am I going to get it? I used to plan my mornings to have a drink before my wife woke up.
Yeah.
Before I brushed my teeth, before I did anything. If make sure I had a little bit left over at night. If I did it, hurry up and get to the store.
Rush.
Because I'd be dry heaving on the way there.
Yep.
Trying to get there. But it's just it's those. Because you end up hating it, and you end up going like, man, why am I doing this? And that feeling that you're talking about, that like you had to have it like that, and you didn't want to do it, like that hits me square, man. Like that just gave me like a jolt of that same feeling I felt. You know what I mean?
I knew it was destroying my life.
Yeah,
I knew it was taking everything away from me that I loved. And I still couldn't stop doing it.
Yeah.
And I was like, what in the fuck is wrong with me? And it's not like I was like denying that I was an alcoholic or anything. It was just kind of not knowing, really. It was just like alcohol has just always been associated with everything in my life. So why am I making it such a bad thing? Why can't I just stop, and live my life and do the normal things that I can do. It just completely took control over everything in my life. Like nothing. Alcohol was my higher power, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
What was the first 30 days like for you quitting this time around, or even the first time when you had some sobriety under your belt?
Well, the first time was like August the 3rd of last year. That was shit, because I just lost everything. I detoxed in a hotel. All I had was a picture of me and my son.
Damn.
And
you're like a country song.
Yeah, dude. I got out of jail, went to a fucking hotel in Bakersfield, and I just would just hold that picture of my son in my arms and just cry, fall asleep, hallucinate, wake up, just put something on the TV just because like I couldn't just sit there and not, think.
You get antsy and all that,
whatever, be on my knees and pray and just almost thinking like this is too much to even be real. This is too much to even like, this can't be really happening, waking up in a nightmare every single day, and I remember there's one day I'm sitting in there and I'm in the fucking hotel and I'm just, I got the picture of my son. I slept next to it every single day. And I'm just sitting there and I'm just looking at the TV. I can't eat. I feel like I don't deserve to eat, laugh, do anything. I don't feel deserved to be even alive, And I'm sitting there and then the people next door to me at the room right next door to me, they're just fucking, just going to town.
It's a motel.
Yeah, just going to town. I'm just like, I'm listening to that. I'm hearing that. And I'm just like, this is fucked. I'm like, this is just fucked. Completely, absolutely fucked, And it was like 3 weeks into it, because I was stressed about all these court stuff and all the things that were going on. I knew deep down like that I was innocent of what I did and the charges were dropped and everything, but I was guilty of being an alcoholic and being a shitty person. Like there's no doubt about that, But it took about like a few weeks for me to finally enjoy my first meal again, and it was like chicken piccata, and I'll forever have that shit in my heart, bro. Like
chicken piccata. You're a caper guy?
Yeah, dude. It's something about that shit, bro. When I first ate it and it just like I actually enjoyed it, it brings up this like freedom feeling every time I eat it of just like, man, like I can finally like
Those gravy. Food. It's all American.
No, I get it. There's nothing wrong with a good piccata.
That month, those 2 months sucked. But it could have been way worse. It could have been 10 times worse, but it wasn't. After I relapsed, that first month was easy. I was putting the group with you guys. Amazing fucking group. And and it was more in depth with what I needed. Group therapy, you get to hear everybody talk. It was great. It's not really the first month, 2 months that are really that hard for me. It's more when I get time and freedom in my life is when I start to get maybe I could do whatever the fuck I want. Or if if no one's around me that I'm hurting anymore, maybe I could just, fuck my life up again. It's a weird thought to have, and it
reservations.
Reservations.
Yeah,
well, how long was your relapse?
It was probably I relapsed way before I even had the first drink.
Oh, definitely.
For sure. I already had it in my mind because when I got out of the hotel, when I got out of jail, I had to live with my dad, which was a huge thing. I'm like, I can't do this, I'd rather go back to fucking jail. But that was a big thing, and that was important because it was like, God was kind of just like mending all these relationships and doing all these things, and I was watching it, and I was like, okay, I see what you're doing. I got to deal with this, But he's always been like, failure for him was not even a thing. Like you were talking about, Sam, failure's not a thing. So it was just like, you need to wake up at 7, you need to go to work, you need to start making money. I was like, I'd rather go back and drink and just, this is too much, So the stress of like that kind of like trying to push me back into the normal world and the normal responsibilities, it was like the second I get away from this fucking dude, I'm getting fucked up.
Right.
So I had a job out of town in Sacramento and just fucking went to Applebee's and just ordered a beer. And then it was like 2 weeks of just like straight up drinking.
Good long 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
See, that's the thing about coming back. Like after, yeah, you lost your date, you lost your days or whatever, but you still have all the tools. You still have all the things that you learned. So when after that 2 weeks, you didn't go too far.
No.
You know what I mean? So you were able to come back and probably made those first couple of months a little easier.
It was a pretty wild 2 weeks. I mean,
he was like, hold your horses, man.
He said,
I didn't tell you.
He said, hold my beer.
I remember my dad telling me that I was at the yard house on the floor and they had to close down the front because I was fucking sprawled out on the fucking floor. And then I woke up in the hospital 8 hours later. Apparently, I was like, someone put something in my drink or something. I'm not really sure what happened.
I take back what I said.
But so I woke up in the hospital and I ripped all these fucking needles out of me and shit. And I was just like, everything's kind of like a blur. And then I end up, going to my sister's house. And then literally, like, it's crazy. I'm at my sister's house and then like, a gun gets involved with her husband, and then there's like 30-something cop cars, a SWAT van, all these things that are going on. I got my nieces. I'm holding my nieces. I'm like walking down the fucking Norris Road with them while the fucking cops are like going here and there. And I'm just like, is this really where alcohol's leading me, dude? Like, it went from Applebee's to this shit real quick.
Yeah, 2 weeks. That's real fast.
And I was like, fuck, like, what the fuck? Because when I drink, it just like, it's just
chaos.
It's just a storm, man.
Yeah.
Instant.
See, mine was always mine's a little different than a lot of other people. I'm sure I've told you I'm a party drinker, you know what I mean? And I knew it was out of control when I started, I drink by myself. I drink in the mornings before work and all that. It went way beyond being the party drinker and good time having drinker. But I had very few times where it ended up in those type of situations.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And maybe because my house was like the house that we always got crazy at. So I could just pass out in my own crib. I wasn't out in the streets. The few times that I did it other places, I guess it didn't work out.
Yeah.
I've came to walking down Union with one shoe on, not knowing where my car is. And then, my family thinks that I'm dead somewhere because the police found the car hours ago, with the door open and the keys in it, like one shoe in it. Like, oh, yeah, he's gone, guys. You know what I mean? He's gone.
Somebody abducted him and raped him.
I had a couple of times, my brother told me one time that I was full of shit. I had a couple of times where I was like, man, somebody put something in my drink last night. Like, it was bad, man. And he was like, bro, you drank like 3/5.
Yeah.
You had like 22 beers. He was like, yeah, somebody put alcohol in your alcohol. He was like, nobody put anything in your drink. You were going ham for like 9 hours straight. You know what I mean? And I was like, all right, you might be right. You might be right.
Yeah, the party drinking, that's like when I had my own place and shit. It was just kind of like you said, if I pass out, I pass out here. I'm at my house.
No big deal. I throw up on the floor. It's my floor.
Yeah.
No one's going to make a big deal out of it.
That's what made it
like
easy
that.
for me to drink at, by myself, because I was like, well, I'm at home.
Yeah.
I'm with my family. I'm not doing anything wrong. Like
even my dealer almost lived with me at one point. he used to call my house the compound. I used to live over there on Chester, and you could fit probably like 13 cars in the driveway because there was always like shitloads of people over there.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was like, man, this is the fucking compound. We could do a lot of shit here. And then I was like, I don't know if I want to turn into a fucking trap house.
Right.
But it was just, people, I'd always have people over getting fucked up. I don't got to drive nowhere. I'm not responsible for any of these fucking people, I'm being selfish, they could all drive home, figure it out, whatever the fuck,
Never thought twice about it, huh?
Yep. No, never did, man.
We're a selfish breed.
Yep.
So over 90 days, what was probably the single biggest thing that you got from group session? What was like a light, light bulb moment for you?
Oh man, it would have to be because the first meeting I went to, or the group, was the men's group, and I was supposed to show up to the Saturday one, but I didn't. But the men's group, it was how I felt after. It was like this feeling of like, man, like this camaraderie, this like new family I'm a part of, like the laughter, laughter's always been huge for me, like I know I'm really fucked up in my life if I can't laugh. That's when I know that I'm really down. Like if something can't make me laugh, then I know I'm fucked up. And so going to a group full of people and talking about all this shit that we're doing, and this guy fucked up and that guy fucked up, and he's just, he's got a day, he's got, this many things, and you're just talking, shooting the shit, and you kind of lose track of the fact that, I'm because we make ourselves the center of our own world.
Yeah.
Like I am the only alcoholic.
Right.
I am the only bad father. I am the only one who's ever fucking done this or done that. And then you're in a group full of 20 dudes who are just all the same, and you're like, fuck yeah, dude.
Our terminal uniqueness, you know what I mean, isn't so unique after all.
Yep. And then, then you hear someone break down, a grown ass man break down and cry. And then you're like, fuck, reality hits a little bit.
Yeah.
And you have like you kind of feel for that person. You don't even know him. He's a stranger, but you feel for him because you felt that and you've been through it. And it's just like it's something different. It's almost like, I would never take back being an alcoholic and who I am. I would never change who I am, because what it's brought into my life and what the people it's brought me around is such a beautiful thing. I have so much more to offer to the world than just your regular picket fence fucking guy out there like, hey, I've never fucking smoked a cigarette, like
Right.
I can talk to someone for hours about, being at your lowest, you thinking you're at your highest, fucking up, ruining relationships, one-on-one on how to ruin a fucking relationship, and how to fuck it up. And
masterclass.
Just, I'm the fucking college professor of fuck your life up, come on in here, but yeah, man, that was when the light bulb kicked on for me, when it was the group that we're a part of. It's incredible. It really is. And it was more not just strictly based off of one thing. It was more of like, let's hear how you feel today. I want to hear what everybody has to say. That was important for me.
Right.
Yeah.
I was always in groups where it's like only 5 people would talk who had like 5 years of sobriety. And I'm like, I don't give a fuck with these motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Man.
Exactly.
They're
I wanna
so
hear what
far
that
removed.
dude
Yeah.
has to say in the back, who looks like he's about to fucking shoot somebody. I want to hear what the fuck he has to say.
Right.
You know what I mean?
We were in group, I believe it was Thursday.
Yeah.
And sure enough, there's always those perspectives. There was a gentleman in there, totally different perspective. He had just got back.
this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fuck this. You know what I mean? I've been doing this for 5 years, and I just relapsed because my life's a ball of shit. He's like, I'm having a hard time seeing all of this. Everyone's talking about how great it gets and all of this. He's like, it's not great for me.
It's real shit. It's very real shit.
It's real shit.
Yeah, that's the fellowship for me is a big thing. The the going from the heartfelt, what you feeling for a guy because he's, hasn't seen his kids or,
Yeah.
He's got, whatever, whatever it is, either male or female, any of the ladies too, you're hearing their stories, and it's just heartbreak. And then to go from that to laughter,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, man, you feel good afterwards.
yeah.
You almost feel as good as when you're at that like good point of drinking.
Yeah.
Before we go too far.
Yeah,
Like that
before you
good
go
point.
too far. Yeah, you almost feel like that for a minute.
But it's
No,
just, it's
definitely.
not like, it's not synthetic.
Yeah.
It's a pure
Mhm.
joy. And you know that you don't feel guilty about it.
Yeah.
There's not going to be any withdrawals or hangovers. It's just real laughter. And it lasts longer, It kind of sustains you longer than
Mhm.
like alcohol or drugs would, because alcohol you have to constantly,
Right.
I mean, I remember drinking, and fucking being 7 shots deep, and then by like 3 or 4 in the afternoon feeling like shit. But like a good conversation in a group could last me like a few days,
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
wow, like changed my whole perspective. Even this conversation completely changed my day, you know what I mean? And my perspective of what's going on, because it's releasing things that are just constantly just in a spiral in my mind, and then talking about it and remembering why I'm sober and remembering what made me love the group that we're in. It's crazy because you forget it so quickly.
Yeah.
You
Right.
forget, and you just get lost in your own darkness sometimes in that tunnel, and you're just like, fuck, man, like you were talking about that guy saying like, fuck it, I have a lot of that in me. I got a lot of that fuck it. Every time shit gets bad, what the fuck's the point of being sober? But it's remembering why and where, like, if I just keep going the distance, that I'll reach somewhere very special and very peaceful in my life. But I just need to stay strong,
Yeah, it's definitely, again, as corny as it sounds, it's definitely, for me, it's the journey. It is, because we get so caught up. Like for me, even, I get caught up in wanting to do this and wanting to do that, and I'm an addict, or I'm an alcoholic and an addict. But so when I get a hold of something, it's like that's all I want to do. If I eat Taco Bell, I eat it 3 days in a row.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I don't just eat it once.
Yeah.
If I eat chocolate,
Mhm.
I eat it the whole week. You know what I mean? Like it's just that's the, so it allows me to slow down and go, look, I don't have to get there. It's about what happens in between those times and those moments, how it happens, and then when, I just really enjoy not waking up with a hangover though too,
Anything that feels good becomes an obsession to me.
Yeah.
Anything.
Yeah.
Absolutely fucking anything. And that's kind of something I'm going through right now, like being in another relationship, is just like obsessing over it.
Yeah.
Almost, because it's like, oh, you feel so great, you feel so good, this is something, it's almost like a replacement, but you can't do that with something like that because
Right.
it will ruin it.
Yeah.
It's got to be something like you have to be the center root of what makes you happy. And that's so hard for me because I don't fucking like who I am most of the time. So if I find something good, I'm like, oh, this is great. But it's like, I need to be consistently happy with who I am.
Yeah.
And reflect on who I am and reflect on like it without anything else in my life. Will I be okay with me? And that is something I struggle with a lot. Because, like you're saying, like anything, I make anything into a fucking addiction. I was looking for a Taco Bell on the way here.
That's hard though, man. Because, like you're saying, if it's not in you solo, like people, places, things, they'll always let you down.
Yeah,
it's because we're all flawed. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like I've been in relationships where I was the sole happiness for the other person.
Yeah,
and I was like, shit, you're in a world of trouble.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I'm definitely gonna let you down.
Yeah,
not on purpose, but I'm gonna let you down. And then it's been the other way too, where I've put everything into a person, a job, an idea. You know what I mean? And when it goes away,
it doesn't pan out.
Down I go.
And the expectations that you set for certain things, and then when they don't go your way, it's like I feel like I act like a child, you know.
Yeah.
It's like I want it to be this way,
Yeah.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But it's just like it's like Sam said, it's a journey. It's not like it's not pretty, but it's beautiful, if that makes sense. You know,
Right.
there's as an artist myself, I've worked on like big pieces and I've hated it. Some of my favorite pieces I've ever done, I fucking hated it the whole time until like the last stroke or the last part on it. And then when it all comes together, then I'm like, damn, like
Shit's
this
sick.
is exactly what I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
And so with my life, it's kind of like that. I hate it until you get to this certain point and you're like, oh man, this is my life's good, you know, like this all makes sense, you know. I'm glad everything worked out the way it did. But in those moments where it looks ugly, you just want to fucking give up.
You do. But Sam, you know, it's especially with sobriety, you have to work it a certain way. Like you can be sober, you can white knuckle the shit out of it, you know what I mean? And things might not get better. The thing about working programs in sobriety is you're building all of these other characteristics and you're breaking behaviors.
Yeah.
Because even though I don't drink and I don't toot powder and I don't pop pills anymore or do anything like that, I still have those behaviors. So now my focus is on changing those behaviors because I still have cross addictions. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yep.
There's a reason, like when I first got sober, I blew up because I was eating like crazy.
Yeah.
And then I hit a cool spot where I dropped everything that I had gained. And now I'm back to doing that again. You know what I mean? So it's always about behaviors. And I always tell people, like when that guy said that the other night, I was like, but are you just dry, or are you actually working on yourself and your life? Because without that, nothing else is gonna change. Your life's gonna be exactly the same. You're just gonna
walk through the door and magically fucking, you know, put something up your ass and make you fucking happy. You got to take action.
And it's hard. You know what I mean? To change behaviors because I'm not 20. Yeah. I'm not 17. My behaviors haven't been built for 3 years. My behaviors have been built for 22 years.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard to change those in 318 days.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. You know, it goes back to the acceptance thing too, you know, and Lenny is the one who really always puts it down. And I've said it, repeated it because of him. And it's it's
a hard one.
Your acceptance is direct.
Your acceptance is directly proportionate to your.
No, your happiness or your peacefulness is directly proportional to your acceptance. So, I think that's the way it goes. Anyways, but
I think that's the way it goes.
It's something close. We're right there.
So when you set expectations for the way things are supposed to go.
Yeah.
And even you may not even know you're doing it. You know, for instance, like you're talking about your relationship. And we all have been in new relationships. And when you're in them and you have that one day where everything is like cool, everything's smooth, everything's like you love being around the person. Yeah. You want it to be like that every day.
Every fucking day. Yeah.
And it's not going to happen. You know what I mean? Like it just doesn't happen that way.
No.
And so even those things, when those things really screw us up when they don't happen that way.
Yeah.
When that person isn't reacting the same way that they were, you know, when you did that thing you did, you know, the first time. You know what I mean?
The thing I'm struggling with the most right now is trying to understand how everybody communicates differently.
Right.
You know, and how like she's in a perspective of like dealing with her problems in a certain way, and I am in my own mind dealing with my problems in a certain way, and the communication's not there, and it's trying to realize like how to communicate at the right time and how to learn how to communicate with somebody. It's almost like, you know, we speak the same language, but at the same time we don't. You know what I mean? And you got to figure out how to adapt to that and to give yourself space, time, all those things that, you know, that you don't want to do, because when it's good, you know, you want to surround yourself with that person. But then like, you know, when it's bad, you want to run from it. But you got to be in the middle of like, okay, how do I take my pride out of the situation and try to see how to communicate this in a different way. Because with me in relationships, I like to talk about what's going on, what the problem is, how to fix it. If they're feeling a certain way, I want to know why they're feeling it, what I said, what I did wrong, this and that. But some people, they don't want to do that, or it takes them time. They might need like a week or so long, and then they'll be ready to talk about it. And I don't think that's a bad thing.
No. It's just a different way of handling it.
Yeah, that's me. I'm a processor. I need a moment to process things.
Yeah, me, I'm like, I can't handle it when shit's fucked up. I need it to, like, we need to talk about it, you know? And like, I can take a certain amount of time, but then when it just lingers there, it just becomes this obsession of like, fuck, what the fuck is wrong? Is the problem going to be fixed or not? And then I completely just distance myself fully from it, because if I'm not fixing it, I just remove myself from it completely.
Yeah, I think Vince used to talk about it a lot. And that is, you know, that's that being present again, what you were saying too. What is actually happening? Like, what is actually being said? And a lot of it is because we're poor communicators anyways, to begin with. One of the exercises that I know that I had heard in the group was to go to your partner or somebody you trust, talk to them, have them talk to you for a minute, 1 minute straight without interruption, tell you something for 1 minute, time it, and then after 1 minute, stop and repeat it back and see if it's exactly the same thing that they
said. Yeah,
that they said. Is that what they meant? So that perspective is completely different. So the way we communicate is poor. We've never been great communicators. So always hidden behind something. So if we start to learn some of those tools to effectively communicate, that may help too. Because it could be just that.
Right.
You know what I mean? It could be just something real small. The other thing that I like to do is really think about what the person said, and is that really what they just meant? Do they mean just no?
Yeah.
Or is it like no with an attitude, and you know what I mean? Like she ain't gonna get over it.
Or something was said based off of emotion.
Right.
And they didn't really mean it.
Right.
So how am I going to take it to heart?
Right.
And really just blow it
or
up
just take it at face value for what it is. You know, it's a no and that's it.
Yeah.
And that's
you know
why you
I mean?
have to give certain people, like you said, certain people need that time. Some people like to shoot from the hip.
Right.
That's why I'm a process person. Because if I'm trying to communicate with somebody, whether it's one of my friends, whether it's my wife, whether it's a family member, if I shoot from the hip, I don't always articulate what I really mean.
Yeah.
You know, I'll say something, and yes, I mean what I say, but the way that I'm saying it, they're not going to actually understand why I'm saying it that way. You know, that's why I take it back. They say don't react, respond. You know what I mean? So like, don't just hear it and then say boom, 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 boom. Even though that's how I feel, I can articulate it in a way where my partner or my friend can actually understand what I'm saying. Because things can be taken 100 different ways.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
especially over text message, man.
Text message. Yeah.
You already know that.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah, I hate text.
I hated emojis. Just to show my age, I hated emojis 10 years ago. You know what I mean? But now, like, I like them for reference, like, so I can kind of figure out, like, all right, so that's how you're that's how you're feeling. You know
that's
what I mean?
How you meant it.
Because even a yes to something, it's like, are you excited that I asked you to do that? Or is that like a yeah? Or are you confused? Or are you like what does that yes mean? You know?
And I think I'm a little bit old school in that too. And that is that when you text was never meant to, when I remember when a friend of mine first started texting, and he was texting on the old Nokia brick phones. No, the big ones.
You're talking about the sidekicks. No, these are just he's talking about this old school. It just had like,
it had a little screen, like like a little inch by inch screen, and it was just a 10 key. So you had it ba 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 ba. So I remember when he started doing that, I was thinking, man, it's stupid. Why would you do that? But anyways, I was wrong, obviously. But it's with texting, and I get this a lot because I working with people. Is texting's not meant to, or at least for me, it isn't, is not meant to convey how you feel in a conversation or how you feel. Mm-hmm. It's meant just for brief responses.
Yeah, not emotion.
It's not really, you know what I mean?
It's literally why they created emoticons.
Yeah.
Emojis.
Yeah.
Right.
Like just for that, because so you can see how that person's actually feeling. Like that is a smiling face. That is a crying face.
Yeah.
That is a, eggplant. You
don't get very many of those.
That is a peach. That's a peach with a splash. You know what I mean? So I know what's going on.
And then now that shit confuses you, because then when they don't put the emoji and they just keep it like that, then you're like, well, fuck.
Well, then,
you just mean it regular?
I guess it's not going down, But I used to use text messages as an addict and as a alcoholic and stuff like that. I used to use text messages to hide also, to not have to have an actual conversation where a certain person I'm talking to can hear that I'm fucked up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Oh, it's mom. I'm going to she'll call me. I'll text her. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's grandma. I'll text her. You know what I mean? Like, because I know if I answer the phone right now, after maybe 2 sentences, what's going on with you? What's wrong?
For sure,
like, why do you sound like that? Like, what's going on? It's like, you got me.
Yep.
So, yeah, I definitely used to use text messages.
That's a horrible feeling, too, when you get it from somebody like that, like your mom or your grandma or somebody.
You get put on blast, you know what I mean?
Are you okay? What do you mean, am I okay?
And it's always a dumbass response.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
You never answer like you would normally answer. Yeah. You know what I mean?
It just, you instantly go in this defensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm good.
Of course.
Yeah. You're drunk.
You're trying to make sure your words go.
If it was anything else, you would just say the reason. Like if it was say I was driving over to the house and, there's orchards by. I had my windows down. A bunch of shit flew in, so my eyes got red. Mm-hmm. So when I got to the house, why are your eyes all red? Fucking pollen trees right here. Got my eyes all red. But instead, why are your eyes all red? My eyes are red? Yeah. I just asked you why your eyes are red.
Why are you repeating the question?
Why are you repeating the question?
I did that to my dad one time. We were in the drive-thru and I was fucking stoned. And he's like, why your eyes look so red? I said, your eyes look fucking red.
What?
That's what I said. And he's like, I've been watching a lot of TV. That's right. Yeah. I said, yeah, same with me. You know what I mean? But it's just like,
you do it right back at him.
Yeah. Why your eyes red?
He knew, right?
Oh, absolutely. I think he just didn't. He was just kind of, I don't know, pushing it aside. But like my mom, she would call me on my bullshit like that. You know what I mean? She could know I'm fucked up if I'm in a different city.
No, moms just know.
Hey, she just knows.
Yeah, moms just know what's up, man.
Yeah.
Drake, what would you tell your 15 or your that scared boy that was at the house, and what would you tell yourself, your younger self?
It's a hard one. That eventually, you're going to be loved the way that you want to be loved. And that you are special. And one day you're going to be able to be a good father. And to not hold grudges against anybody that's hurting you right now, because they're hurting as well, I think is what I would say. Even if I could process that at that age, but just the comfort maybe of knowing like pain is temporary, and this is just going to make you stronger, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
It'd be hard to have a deep conversation with myself at that age. It'd be more at high school, but even high school, I was just a, punk ass kid who wouldn't listen to nobody. So
yeah.
Drake might have listened to Drake.
Yeah. He
might have been the one guy that could have got through to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I probably would have hated myself. Probably would have been like, fuck this guy.
Oh, I'm definitely not. Sam, are you rocking with yourself, with the young you, like the you now?
The young me?
Would he respect you?
I've always liked me. I've never had a problem liking me.
Hey, me. I'm not gonna lie. I'm the same way. I think the young me would be like, bro, you're the shit. I'd be like, you're pretty cool too, man. But quit doing all that coke. But quit doing all that coke, though.
I would just try to explain, if it was like, like I came back from the future, and like it was like this big deal.
Or better yet, what is, if there was something that you could convey, whether it be an emotion or feeling or words, to your younger self, what would you?
Self-love, you know what I mean? Self-confidence, and just self-love, knowing that you don't need to rely on any substance or any person to receive that, to get that, and definitely connect with my higher power, for sure. Definitely always remember that God's got my back, even in those times where you feel like you're alone. Definitely, yeah, self-love for sure, because I never really had a lot of that. That was something when I came into intake, was something that we talked about, was my biggest issue, was just kind of just like learning how to love me again, because I did for the first 230 days. Like I got to a point, because food turned into an addiction and I got fucking heavy. And then I started going to the gym every day, started losing weight, started feeling good about myself, started all this, these things. And I was like, man, I feel good. I actually like who I am. I'm sober. I'm not ruining anybody's life. I get to see my son a couple times a week. Things are going good. I'm a fucking, a good dude, and then, it's just that perspective can change so quickly with me, I don't know why. It's just it's part of the disease, I guess. There's just the highs and the lows. But right now, I would say I'm pretty content with who I am. Very content with who I am, actually. There's like I was talking in group one times. There's that fucking dog in me, man, that just wants to just go out and get fucked up, and I can't understand why. I'll play the tape forward, backward, all that shit, but something in me just like is waiting for that chance to just go get fucked up again sometimes. And
it's the disease, man. Like you said, it's clever.
It's they say when you're in a meeting, your disease is out there doing push-ups in the parking lot.
Yeah,
that type of deal. But what would you say to somebody who thinks they have a problem, who is in that stupor of like, they can't see life beyond what they're experiencing in their addiction and alcoholism, but want to change? Obviously, can see that they have a problem, or maybe they don't know yet, but they definitely are tired of living and sick and tired of their life situation.
Crazy that you asked that, because that's literally what I just was talking to this like the younger kid I was talking to. And he asked me that same question. He's like, how do I get out of these tormenting thoughts and this like prison that I'm in? And like, how did you get through it? And my answer to him is that it's gonna suck and it's gonna hurt, but you need to embrace that shit, and you really need to understand that what's happening now is just going to make you stronger. And growth and admitting that you have a problem is not a weak thing to do. It's actually a very noble and strong thing to do. It's something that not very many people are capable of doing, and end up dying because they just couldn't just admit that one thing. Right. So you're saving your life by doing that. I don't consider myself weak for admitting I'm an alcoholic at all. I consider myself weak for denying it, for constantly thinking that it was okay to be that way and making excuses. The journey is long, but there's so many good things on the way and in between. And it got to the point where I was talking to him to where I was like, you just need to really fucking understand that this is going to make you into a man that you've always dreamed of fucking being. You don't really see it now, but you need to fucking understand and like kind of like toughen up a little bit and realize this is going to make you what you've always wanted to be. It's a part of the process of transforming you into something that you never expected to be. A strong man, a resilient man, like I always go back to like the process of making knives, it goes through so much before the final like product is finished. through fire, through hammering, through grinding, through all the shaping. And then at the end, you have this piece that you're proud of. And that's the same way as a person. And with my journey, it was just like, I knew that it was going to be a long road, but it wasn't going to be forever. The pain's not going to last forever, you know? And if you get in recovery and you decide to take that first step, it'll be the best fucking decision you've ever made in your life, you know? And like, I mean, we're sitting here and we're alive, you know, we're sitting here and we have things to be grateful for. And there was moments in our life where that wasn't the case and that we were just drowning in our addictions and things. So I think we're just living examples of what it is to actually, you know, be like, all right, I need help. I desperately need help. And that's okay, because a lot of people need help, you know, and some people don't get that chance. Like, I got my buddy's name tatted on my knuckles because he was a great person, young stud, you know, and something happened traumatic in his life and he overdosed and he died, you know what I mean? And that's because of just maybe not reaching out, maybe just fighting it, you know, especially as being a male, we hold our emotions back so much because we think if we just reach out for help, you know, that we're just, you know, fucking weak. That's the way I was raised, you know.
Yeah.
You know, you're just, you know, every time I would cry, you get called a pussy or, you know, whatever the fuck it is, you know, you can't feel shit. But if you have to feel shit, you have to, no matter what. The good and bad, you're gonna have to feel it. And if you're just gonna use alcohol, then you're just gonna be, you know, like I see these 60-year-old dudes in our group, 60, 65, and they're like, you know, 30 days sober. And I'm like, fuck, man, you know, I just really am thankful that I decided to get help at this time in my life. Because the younger generations, it's hitting them hard.
Yeah.
You know, with the fentanyl and all the other shit that's coming out. You know, and the guy messaged me. He's turning 22, and I'm like, bro, like, fuck the girl, fuck this shit. Get yourself right. You know, keep doing what you're doing and focus on building who you are. You know. And he's like, you know, you're right, you know, and it's going to be like an everyday thing for him, like to constantly be reminded, because that's how it was for me. But there's so much value in just sticking to you and building you, because then other people will see that. And that's when you attract good things, you know?
Yeah. I don't think it'd be said better than that, but I will tell you that, you know, it's good having you in the group. And, you know, I really appreciate your input, and I'm proud of you. You know, there's a need for, definitely for sure, for people like you that can show, you know, what it actually takes. You'll be able to help out a lot of people, and you're helping people now without even talking to them directly, you know. And so you have to, me and Ramel talk about this a lot, and that is that I'm going to do whatever it takes. I'm going to do whatever it takes so I don't ever feel like that.
Yeah.
Like that. Like I felt the days before I quit. You know, I'm going to do whatever it takes, run in whatever direction I got to do or go, and do that, because I am not going to. That's when I say recover with intent. It's intentional. I'm whatever I got to do. You know, I did whatever it took to get drunk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It didn't matter how I felt.
Right.
It didn't matter my kids were born. It didn't matter that I was sick. It didn't matter that my wife was sick. It didn't matter. Nothing mattered. You know what I mean? So that's, you know, because you get to love yourself, and I think you're hitting on that. And that is that because no matter what, I got to stay sober through any situation, because you're going to have deaths. Mm-hmm. You're going to have people get sick. Your kid may get sick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Your loved one may get sick. Your mom.
Yeah.
You know, most likely you're going to outlive your mom. What's going to happen when she passes?
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we can't continue to use that as our crutch. That's just going to lead us to causing even more pain to everybody else around you. So, I'm proud of you. You've done, love to hear you talk, man. You got a lot of wisdom, and you're funny as shit. So
I think that's one thing I got going for me.
Yeah.
You got a lot of shit going for you, man. It's for me, it's you're genuine, man. It's the it's the authenticity, And I think that's another reason that you loved coming into that room. It's one of the reasons I loved coming into that room. Because for as different as we all are, everyone's genuine.
Yeah, definitely.
So it doesn't matter, like, the backgrounds and stuff like that. You can feel that.
Yeah, when somebody's disingenuous or somebody's still on their shit because you it's not genuine when they're talking to you.
Yeah.
It's not, you don't get that same feeling.
It's just like I want to say something to just please everybody or get the check in over with or whatever the fuck it is, Like I'm the type of person I have to let things out. I have to let what I'm feeling out because it weighs so heavy on me, and that might be why it is that I make an impact on people, because I can't hold anything in and I just say it how it is, But I was feeling real shitty this past couple days, and not giving a fuck about my sobriety or anything like that. And then just this conversation alone, fellowship is huge. Just talking to people who are like-minded, who understand, and that get it, and I'm here giving advice to this younger kid. And at the same time, I'm not taking the advice that I'm giving him, you know, I'm like, here, this is what you should do. But at the same time, I'm already thinking in my head, like, I'm fucking miserable right now in my own shit. And why can't I take these words of wisdom that I have for him that's helping him and take it and apply it to my own life? It's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
But you're mindful. But you're mindful of that.
Yeah. That's what I think.
So that you're doing that. So when you go home tonight, that's what you're going to do. Yeah. You're going to take those fucking gems, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And you're going to apply them to your life.
Yeah. That's what you hit the nail on the head. If anything that the group does beyond the fellowship side of it, it's because we're there with professionals as well. Mm-hmm. They're teaching you tools, and it's not tools to say to cut something out of your life. It's tools to help you just be mindful of the way you are feeling.
Yeah.
And to be aware of it, so that way you can say, well, got to go the other direction, or I got to do something different, or what do I got to do to not feel that way? Mm-hmm. Or it's okay to feel that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's part of it.
It's a big one. It's okay.
It's okay to feel that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, you got anything else, Ramel? I think we'll cut it here, and really appreciate you, Drake.
Just had a good ass time, gentlemen. You know what I'm saying? We'll do it again one day.
For sure. Yeah.
Some heavy shit, man. Definitely something to go home and think about. That's for damn sure. Shit's crazy, man.
Yeah.
It's so fucking stuck in your head sometimes, and you have a conversation, you're just like, your head just slowly comes out of your fucking ass.
Just slowly.
Yeah, slowly. No lube either. Just
it's just fucking.
Yeah.
Yeah, shit. Here I am again. Here's perspective.
Yeah, it's been super therapeutic for me tonight also.
Yeah. I appreciate you. Yeah, you guys sticking in, because wife and kids are gone. And I was like, the first thought in my head was, oh shit, what can I get into? Mm. And now
that used to be the immediate thought, right? House to yourself, like, oh shit.
Yeah. You know what I mean? And so it's you guys are keeping me sober, tonight.
Absolutely.
So appreciate
100%.
it. Yeah.
All right, sleep over. I'll call the wife. I'll let her know.
Yeah, I'll bring out you can't. I got the dog.
Oh yeah, I'm not messing with you. 7 foot tall, 300-pound dog.
Yeah,
big ass fucking dog.
I had a Great Dane.
Oh fuck yeah, dog. Fucking dog, man.
Yeah, she's yeah.
It'd be cool if she was nice. She doesn't sound nice.
She is nice. She She just don't like other men. So yeah,
I feel that way too.
That's why I only get female dogs.
Right. I don't want other men in my house.
I don't want to be. That dog sleeps with me on my bed. So if I roll over and I feel, you know what I mean, like some nutsack or something, I'll be like, "What the hell, man?"
Yeah, go back to sleep.
Yeah.
That's fucking great.
Yeah. So I only have female dogs. That's the way I like them. So
That's right.
All right, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, sir.